Okay, I'll be making this Phantom video in two parts. I'll include Footsites and Supreme in one part, and then Easy Supply in another. So we're gonna start off with Footsites. So first thing you'll want to do is obviously choose your region. For Footsites, it supports all the Footsites. So I would choose US. For now, you always want to use the SKU. So easiest way to find the SKU. Go to Foot Locker. Pick an item. Now, this number right here is the PID. This is what Foot Locker uses to basically just say what the product is instead of using the actual SKU. So you'll copy this, and then you will paste that here. Usually I'll post the PIDs before the release. I always do. But just in case you happen to see it before me, that's how you would do it. Now, for Footsites, you can run a size range or a specific size. A specific size seems to work faster just because there's one less step that the bot has to do. It doesn't have to think as much. So instead of thinking, okay, which size is available, all it has to do is just go for the size that you put here. Now, only problem is if that size isn't available, that task becomes useless because it does not go for another size. So it's really up to you if you want to do it. I usually do half of my tasks with it, half of my tasks without it. So let's say I want to choose a size 10. Now the quantity, that's the amount of task you want per profile that you choose. So I'll just do 2 in this instance for the profile, and then checkout mode. Now, this is the hard part for a lot of people. Don't use restock mode. It never works. If you're running for restocks, you will want to use unsafe. Recently, unsafe is the mode that has been working more. If unsafe isn't working, try release mode. You will also be using desktop. Always click this. I will be getting to what random email means later. Actually, I won't even be getting into that. But basically, for random email, when you go into your profile section, if you just type in the email and then hit save, it has to be a catch-all. So that's the part I have to include. All you would do is type in the domain in a blank profile, just the domain, not the @ but just the domain. Hit save. So once you use random email, it'll just generate prefixes to that, and it'll use the catch-all that you put there. So, the part about this is that for unsafe, it's basically a bypass mode, meaning theoretically, it's supposed to be faster. As for release mode, it has to do certain steps. So, on the guide, it always tells you to start 5 minutes early. So, what I would do, I would start half of your task 5 minutes early, and the rest right on the dot of the release. So if the release is at 7 a.m., like for easy drop, you would start half at 6:55 and the rest at 7. If it's a 10 a.m. drop, you would start half at 9:55 and the rest at 10. This goes for both release and unsafe mode, just because I'm not 100% sure what works as of yet. So once you have all this down, you would hit create. So looking here, basically, if I were to start this task right now, you would see it obviously try to check out. I'm not sure if you need cookies on the site right now, but for a release, it would auto-generate cookies. Now that's the great part about Phantom, is that it does it all for you. Now, one part that I want to include is this. Auto cookie generation is always supposed to be turned on, but on the sender non-reflective release on Footsites, they turned it off, and at least everyone that I knew didn't know, which was why the bot didn't work for us, but people who had cookies, it worked for, which then comes up to my other point, being to always generate cookies. The program I use for that is called Cookie.io. Basically, you start up an instance, and it will put all your cookies in for you basically. So here, all I would do is click this. I would click extra safe. I would click localhost, and then I would hit start. Now, the good part about this is Footlocker cookies and other Footsite cookies, they seem to not really have an end date. My rule of thumb would just to do it, would just to use the cookies that you have generated at least at the most a week before. So let's say if you are going for the court purples that are on Saturday, if you generated on Saturday or Sunday, you should be fine. Now this is a Monday, so I will be using these cookies that I generate now. But as you can see, they generate actually really, really fast. I'll just leave this in the background for now. So another key thing to Phantom is that it isn't as picky with proxies. I find that for bots like TKS, and I've also heard this with Cyber as well, they can be very picky with proxies, especially DCs. Phantom seems to work with about any single provider that you give it, as long as the proxies aren't actually banned. I've given it fresh DCs before, and it's worked. I've given it Resis from Fog London and all my other providers that I'm sponsored by, and they all seem to work. Another key thing is that to use different regions in Footsite seems to be key, as it also is the case with Easy Supply. So try to use Mexico. I did run into problems, I think, with Canada, but Canada should work. Only reason I say to be careful with Canada is because that there is a Canadian Footlocker, so you don't want to possibly reroute that. It shouldn't reroute, but just in case. I think last time I hit with Mexico and it worked flawlessly. Another thing is when you are running on Footsites, for the one key thing that you want to be careful of is payment verifications. That's basically an order cancellation. So my rule of thumb would just to be, if you are running, let's say, bulk slots and you have 100 profiles, just run one profile per site. That way the chance of you checking out 2 times on the same profile is eliminated. And now this goes per site. Now you were able to get 1 pair on Footlocker, 1 pair on Champs, 1 pair on Foot Action, and 1 pair on East Bay. If you get 2 pairs on Footlocker, you risk the chance of getting declined for one of the orders. The bad part about it is obviously you don't get your pair, but the even worse part is they seem to take, I think, a week to send out refunds. So now you are, sitting there for a week with without your money. So another thing people always seem to ask, you don't need CAPTCHA at all. You don't need the CAPTCHA manager either. Now for the cookie harvester, it's a safety precaution, just in case the auto cookie gen is not on. As long as you see these cookies going down and your task still moving perfectly fine, that means that the cookies are working. Another key thing for Footsites, if you start your task right on the dot, you should see them, especially for unsafe mode, you should see it try to check out almost immediately. That was the case, I think it was on the Earth drop, I'm pretty sure. That happened to me. All my tasks seem to just try to check out immediately. Phantom is pretty reliable when it comes to Footsites. But as these releases change and as Footsites change, I'll be sure to update this guide. But the rule of thumb basically is to try to limit the amount of duplicate profiles that you put per Footsite. And also to reiterate that you were able to get 1 pair off of Footlocker, 1 pair off of Champs, 1 pair off of East Bay, and 1 pair off of Foot Action with 1 profile. So with 1 profile, you basically get 4 pairs, 2 profiles, 8, and then so on. Another rule of thumb is to have cookies. Cookie IO is $25 a month. It offers all these sites, but I find that for Yeezy Supply, it isn't as reliable as it is for Footsites. Also, use the PID that they give here, and you are able to do a specific size or a size range. But like I said before, the specific size seems to do a little bit better just because the bot doesn't have to think as much. But like I said before, I go to half and half. For modes as well, half and half seems to be the rule of thumb that I would go by just for now. And other than that, that's it for that video. Oh, delays. For delays, at least 2,000. 2,000, 2,500, and 3,000 have been giving me the most success, I would say. I've been making a follow-up video for Yeezy Supply, and I'll try not to cut this video up as much as possible. Hope you all found this helpful. Just let me know in the group if you all have any questions.